Students. So, in today's session, we shall deal with the new chapter, that is diagrammatic and graphic presentation of data. Even though the tabular presentation of the data is more convincing, they are not interesting because of the numerical figures. To make the data easy to understand even by a layman at a glance, diagrams and graphs are used. Just one diagram is enough to represent a given data more effectively than 1,000 words. Just one diagram is enough to represent a given data more effectively than 1,000 words. So basically, tables are actually what we need for calculations. So whether be it mean, median, mode, standard deviation, whatever the mathematical statistics that we are performing, for that we need tabular presentation of the data. That is for analysis. But in order to appeal to someone, in order to present the statistical facts to someone who is not familiar with statistics, so in that case, the tables might not be convincing enough, or it might not be interesting as pointed here. So if you go on showing a table to someone who is not familiar with statistics or too much of mathematics, then he might not he might not be convinced by what are you trying to tell him. Okay, so instead, if you give a pictorial presentation of your data, then it would be more easier for him to understand what are you trying to say. It is just like uh, common sense. See, you remember a movie that you have seen more than something that you have read, unless it is very interesting. So why is that so? Because in while watching a movie, you are visualizing, you are seeing what is happening, and you are hearing what is going on. You are doing two things at the same time: audio and video, visual and audio. You're doing the same things and your brain is processing both of them at a time. So whatever the scene is going there, you can listen as well as you can see. Both are happening at the same time and your brain is visualizing it. Okay, hence you remember movie scenes more often than what you have read. Okay, it is not only just about movies. Anything that you see, you when you see it, you remember it more than what you have read about it. If you are given the same movie script to read, then you might not be able to understand what is there. Instead, if it has been visualized, then you will remember that visualized version is more memorable than the script. But in order to make that visualization, you need a script. Similarly, here, in order to understand the data properly, understand the statistics properly by a common man, we need diagrams. But tables are the essential part. Even for the diagrams itself, you need table. If you don't have the sorted data properly, then how will you draw the diagram? So tabular presentation is the main backbone, and graphic and diagrammatic presentation is for attractiveness or visualization of the data. Okay, so let us look at the importance or need of diagrams. So why do you need diagram? First one, they are attractive, and hence diagrams and graphs are commonly used in newspapers, magazines, for the purpose of advertisements and campaigns. So let me give you this example from Times of India paper. See, you both have the tabular facts as well as the graph besides here. See, this number can be understood by those who are familiar with mathematical calculations or who are good with numbers. But for a common man, instead of this, if you show this, it will be more useful. See, here they have given a graph which presents early admissions bring death within 72 hours of hospitalization. So this graph gives you the monthly wise percentages. So COVID death rate is 3.1% and based upon the last 10 days data. So this is your tabular facts, and this is your graphical presentation. So you may see that this presentation is more readable, understandable than these facts. Okay, these facts are useful when you know the gist behind the numbers given here. Okay, so COVID tests done so far 89.2 lakh, positive cases 6.2 lakh, cumulative positivity rate 7%, recovered 6.1 lakh, deaths 10,597. So if you know the essence behind this number, then you can understand these easily. Otherwise, a diagrammatic presentation would be more suitable for anyone to understand the scenario. Hence newspapers use such graphs and facts to make their presentation more attractive. Okay, they give you bird's eye view of the entire data at a glance. So data, what it does is, for example, you are standing on the ground, so you can see only things which are surrounding to you. You cannot see further than that. Suppose you are sitting in a plane and you're flying above city, and you can see the entire city, how it has spread, how till what extent it has spread, which are the most populated areas, which are the most densely populated areas. Not exactly, but at least appropriately you can understand which part of the city has a better forest region, which part of the city is heavily populated, and which part of the city has more buildings. Every such details, outline of the city is available. So bird's eye view here, bird it flies at a distant height where it can see almost a city in one glance. Similarly, the data gives you the idea of the diagram gives you the idea of the entire data at one glance. Although you, for inner depth, for the inner calculations, you may have to rely on tabular presentation, but still you will get an entire outline of the given data with the help of diagrams or graphs. Okay, look at the example here. There are two images here, and these images are portraying the surface concentration of nitrogen dioxide over northern Italy. Comparison between 31st January and 15th March 2020. Credit goes to Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service. So this is the map of the country Italy. This is what a bird's eye view looks like. And here they are talking about concentration of nitrogen dioxide in the northern part of the Italy here. So during the 31st, from 31st to 15th March, what was the concentration here? So now again in this region there will be some of them which will not be, the entire country is not concentrated here. So the only part where they are concentrated, it is in the northern part. Okay, so this is called as a bird's eye view of the data. Next, they can be easily understood by a common man. Yes. So if you have diagrams and pictorial presentation of the data, anyone can easily remember them. At least have an idea of what is it about. They can be remembered for a longer period of time. Yes, this is again true. Whatever you visualize, whatever you see, you remember it more often than what you hear. Okay, so that is the advantage of diagrams and graphs over table. So here you can at least have a idea about the data because you are remembering seeing it. For example, the run rate graph in the cricket. Okay, so how it has increased, how it had decreased over the phase. Suppose you are dividing the entire match into 10 overs. So over the period of 10 overs, how the team's score performance has been, at which point the average was good, at which point the average was bad. All these can be understood by drawing the graph or diagram rather than the tabular uh, presentation of the numbers. And lastly, they facilitate comparison. Like we saw in the previous image, there you can compare between the 31st January and 15th March. So the comparison makes it more clear. So these are some of the importance or needs of diagrams and graphs. Next is general rules for constructing diagrams and graphs. So while constructing a diagram, what are the things that we should take care about? So the first one is every diagram should have a suitable title written above it. A proper title should be given to the diagram. So in the table we saw that the title represents what is written in the body of the table, what the entire table represents. So that is what the function of title is. Similarly, whatever is there in the diagram, that should be in a comprehended or summarized form, that is in the form of a title. For example, so this is a data given here. This data is about most the fruit bought fruit, which fruit is bought the most. So here there are some fruits given, and here there are the number of fruits bought. Okay, so this is a simple example here which has been represented in the form of a diagram graphically. So this is your y-axis and this is your x-axis. In the x-axis you are writing the name of the fruits and you are considering some space here, and in the y-axis you're trying the frequency, you're writing the frequency of the fruits bought, so you're marking them here. And for this entire diagram you have to give a suitable graph, that is most bought fruit, which fruit is bought most here. And by looking at the graph you can understand that orange is bought the most. To that next will be apples, to next it will be mangoes and strawberries, and the least bought fruit here will be watermelon. Okay, so this is how you should give a title to the given diagram. Next, proper scale according to the size of the paper should be selected. So whatever the units you have considered for the x-axis and y-axis, you have to write them properly on the top corner of the graph paper. Okay, next. It should be neat and attractive. Any diagram or graph should be neat and attractive. It should not be overwritten. The all the x-axis and y-axis components should be written properly, and nothing should be messed up. Fourth one, it should not be overloaded with more information. So only the necessary and the sufficient information should be provided rather than stuffing it with everything. To indicate different parts, suitable shades, colors, and cross should be used. Now consider the pie diagram here. The title has been written properly. The part, so this diagram represents here different entities like labor, timber, supervision, steel, bricks, cement. So distribution of these entities in the data, it has been divided into percentages. So if you add all these percentages, it will be summing up to 100%, but it has been distributed like this. So how to differentiate between them? So they have used colors here. So for labor they have given one color, for timber they have given one color, for supervision they have given one color, for steel, for bricks and for cement they have given different colors, so that you can differentiate between the different entities. It would make the diagram appealing and also more interesting or convincing enough. And lastly, an index indicating different shades, colors, or crossings used should be clearly mentioned. If you are using any kind of crossings or shades instead of colors, if you are using any type of shades or whatever it is, you should have an index mentioned besides the diagram or the graph in order to uh, identify which part of the entity has been given what kind of shade or color. So these are some general rules that you have to follow while constructing a diagram or a graph.